Hello everybody, how's everyone doing? I took a break for a day. Yeah, had some work, got it done. Some improvements, but nothing much. My hairs are, I heard somewhere, it's not hairs, it's hairy. But if my head's full of hairs, so is my head hairy? So my hairy head is in total chaos? Yeah, these guys, each single fucking strand of my hair has a different sort of fucking awareness. Like each one of them is some sort of a spirit fucking monkey animal. And yeah, tech guy, like some iron spirit, bro. These guys, they don't fucking budge. Like, do whatever, they'll just revert back to their insanity. Anyways, this is catching up with Wajeeh, and this is the 15th, I believe, 15th or the 14th podcast solo. You can come and sit here and then we can have a conversation, but it's just me and whoever. Oh, I just remembered there's not many people who really do listen. It's just me and me. Insanity. But it's not. It's actually good because something I realized, I think a lot of us, we have to get back to this being alone with yourself and no phone. Some low stimuli, maybe like a book perhaps, or just a pen and paper, you know, and just you. And perhaps learning to sit with that gives you a lot of time and calm. At first, it's not, I know I talked about this, but yeah, most of the time, the things that we run from are the remedy that we need for the sicknesses we or us. We don't know what we carry, but perhaps the silence or just us is the answer. And it's something that we are lacking and going away from. We are becoming like and I was one of those guys. Let's be honest. At some point, I just became too afraid to sit by myself because I became aware that, oh, there's nothing to do. So it's just me. Fuck. And don't know why I was scared of that, but there was a lot of things that was going on for me. I just kept looking for the next, the essentially kept running away. Not running away, but it's just like the best analogy that I can give, or the example that I can give, essentially how I fucked myself up, is it was legs day. So I went heavy. And the next day, I was like, fuck, my legs hurt. So let's go arms. I did arms. I forgot about my legs. They're still fucked up still, you know. Now my arms are fucked up too. Not fucked up, but you need time to rest. And the next day I went for shoulders. And the next day I went for abs. The next day I went for back. The next day I went for chest. So no wonder why I was fucked up. The only thing remaining were my toes. So that's the amount of IQ I had remaining by the end of that whole freaking thing. And this is an example of the things that happened and the way it happened, the severity, how it went. It was just like a up down. I noticed another thing. It was a lot of dopamine spikes. So a lot of highs and a lot of lows, a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And each time the high went higher, and this went on for the span of 5 months. In the span of 5 months, I had like a bunch of highs and a bunch of lows. And to cope with that, I kept working out. And yeah, enough about me. I've been crying about me for the past 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So I was looking up something the Stoics did, and they wrote about stuff. I make mental notes, sounds weird, but I do, and then I forget them. But I do remember the essence of it. So now I'm thinking, I have another phone, and I'm gonna start. It was one of my not dream phones, but one of those phones where I always wanted to get one, and I got it finally. So I'm gonna use that just for writing. I'll just write down my thoughts. Not my thoughts, my ideas, you could say, or the lessons learned in a way. Yeah. I also remember at some point, this is pretty fucking embarrassing to say, but I mixed my thoughts with my inner dialogue, which everyone has. And I kept thinking that I'm seeing my thoughts, but that was my inner dialogue. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing with myself? And the cure for that, you'll ask? Well, I studied it even more. And then I was like, oh, fuck. That was pretty stupid. And yeah, again, I started on myself. But anyways, something I noticed about talking about society, sitting more alone with ourselves is something that we should look for, and people are forgetting that. And there's another thing. I kept looking, and there are still people out there who are saying that the modesty of the society, these standards of both men and female, we always look at it from this perspective where it's like, oh, the woman's showing too much or the girls are showing too much, right? I looked at men. It's the same. It's a bit weird as well if you think about it. When did we start thinking that not covering up is cool or looks good? I get it. The aesthetics, the the curves, it's all human nature, right? But why is that mixed and called to be freedom? Like, I don't get that concept. How is you essentially, yes, you can do whatever you want, right? But it's just a thought that if you remove all your clothes or you show too much, how's that freedom? Isn't that just you disrespecting yourself in a way? Um, Sounds stupid to say, yes, but it is that. But now in the society we live in, that is something normal. That is something pretty fucking normal. So it doesn't look like a disrespect. But if you look at it, if you are looking at you, wouldn't you want to be more covered, why would you want people to look at you in the first place? If you're content with yourself and if you practice that, why would you spread temptation? Why would you want someone else to look at you, feel inferior, but you would say, oh, they will feel motivated, or they would want to look like you. But do you not see the other side of it as well, where people would start to feel inferior or perhaps be even more jealous? And that does affect you. Be it if you're on a screen or if you're in real life, it will affect you. It will come to affect you, believe it or not. The intent of people when they're looking and they're directing their energy, you could say, I know that sounds stupid, but their will or energy, it has an effect. It has an effect 100%. There's something there. I don't know what it is, but if you look at that experiment where if you looked at photons and they were going through some there was an experiment where the photons were the light particles or the, I don't know what particles they were, or molecules or something. If you looked at them, they would behave how you would think they would behave, like they will go and deflect off, or they would behave in a certain pattern. Now, if you looked away, and this was an experiment, and it is out there, you should check it out, that those particles started behaving differently when you were not looking at them. So there's something there. Whether you believe it or not, it's there. It's the same with paranormal shit. And I feel like we are getting closer. I have a theory. Look, Tucker Carlson also said like there's something else out there. Those UFOs, those paranormal incidents, those weird sounds or whispers, and I think there's something more there that we cannot grasp it, and we do not, and I will say it again, we will never have that capability to actually see them. But we can observe the effect that they create. And to be more specific, I'm gonna be talking about jinns. I'm gonna be speaking purely from an Islamic perspective. Jinns are these creatures, these beings who are conscious and aware, similar to us, but very different. On a metaphysical level, they are essentially purely made from, if I repeat the context from the Quran, please don't quote me on this, this is what I remember. They are made from a smokeless fire. Okay, think about it. Smokeless fire is a fire without smoke, so that's heat. You could also think of it as an energy source without any, any fumes or any wasted materials that are emitting from it. It's just pure energy, heat. That's very interesting. I feel like that heat is so much more flexible than we can understand right now, that heat itself, energy itself, can take many shapes, forms, and have an effect. And when we start to think about it from that perspective, that energy can change into another energy, and I'm not saying that they are eternal, but I'm just saying that they have a very big lifespan. I know I sound pretty kooky for some people, but hear me out. And that they can create different phenomena that energy can create, and that's why we see so many different effects and visuals and the after effects, you could say. This is my theory that somehow there's always been this battle of good and bad, right? And this was also said by, what's his name? Let me just quickly look it up. What's his name? Give me 1 second. Greg Braden. Greg Braden. And there's proof of it from many various freaking texts, good and bad, evil and good. I think that's at play here. We don't see it, but we are slowly shifting towards it. There's something I read as well. When you, for example, if you start to cut off one ear, just cut it off. After 3 or 4 generations, the people from that one-eared group are gonna think that having one ear is normal. Maybe 5, 6 generations down, they're gonna think now this is just something that we do, right? Or maybe we are born with, right? I know this sounds very weird and different, but if you keep doing the things and if you slightly add in some evil, you know that experiment with the frog? I know we are not frogs, but if you slowly heat up the water, eventually the water starts boiling, but the frog doesn't fucking realize he's boiling in the goddamn water, he's dying. And I feel like that's something similar that we are experiencing as a society, but we are being manipulated or controlled in many various ways. And we are being slowly dumbed down, and attacks are coming from all these different directions. So for the first one is the social media, the electronics. I'm not talking about the fucking Wi-Fi signals and shit like that. I don't know, maybe that could be an effect, but I'm just saying as a theory. So the first thing is that getting the brain addicted to some sort of dopamine hit, essentially, right? The second part is weakening us from the inside, spiritually, you could say, and breaking down that family bonding, breaking down the ability to call someone out and have the standing where you could say that I identify as the right person. I identify as the correct fucking answer. you could have that identity out there, you know, and you could say someone that you're wrong, and not just say it's okay to be that way. And most people would add here that, oh, but what if some people are that way and behave that way? Somewhere along the line, I feel like there is a weakening of the mind, there is a chink in the armor, and that's where you can come and plant an idea, almost like a fucking Inception, bro. That fucking movie could answer so many different things. If you start to believe something by yourself, then there's no other fucking way for anyone to come and point at you or blame someone else. And that's the fucking idea, I feel like. They're letting us fuck ourselves up. And there's no one to point fingers at because it was us who did it. And somewhere there's some fuckery. It could be so different angles of attacks. We talked about fucking the phones, the dopamines, the weakening of the spirituality, attacks on like different ideas related to spirituality, religion, fucking up the covering, the non-covering for both men and women. Let's be fucking on point here. It's not just fucking women, it's the men out there as well. The third or the fourth place is the food. The food that we are putting in our body. If it's ultra processed, it's affecting us as well. So it acts as a diluter of what we are, weakens us, and so on and so forth. And then there is the after effects or the sub effects of all these things, which add up and add up and add up. And then you end up being 3 generations down, 4 generations down. We keep repeating this loop and every single person starts to feel that way, and they are feeling that way. You end up with Neanderthals, bro. Dumb as fuck. Without tools, or fuck it, with rubber fucking tools, and they're hitting each other. And one of them's fucking pink colored, the other one identified as a retard, and he's a woman with some plastic. Jesus Christ, man. There's fruit flies. And now we are all fucking looking like, what's that fucking ponies? My Little Pony, bro. That's what we are now. Human fucking ponies, rainbow colored with orange fucking plastic dicks and rubber fucking tools. That's where we end up. No wonder everyone's just blaming each other. Of course, everyone's got a fucking rubber tool. And that leads me to another thing. It's another long fucking topic that I want to discuss. I wrote about it. But yeah, man. Like, I saw this fucking interview. I'm sorry I cursed a lot. I feel like perhaps maybe even repeating the same words. I apologize for that. It's the same thing if you ask yourself, what are these distractions hiding? Why are there 50 fucking news? 10 of each topics. And then mixed in with that there's a genocide. And then there's a war. And then there's 5 piglets are missing. What the fuck? And somebody's bicycle was flying. So it's like all these are news, and then there's one boom. And then there's one boom. What are these distractions really hiding? Think about it. if they're distracting us away from something, what's behind it? And if there's good and evil and that battle has been going on, are we perhaps being made to get stuck in money problems, in financial issues, in all these identity issues, in these spirituality issues, in these debates, and so on? And that person's this, and this person's that. There's a war. I get it, those are real things. Some of those are real things. All these distractions, but perhaps what if the real objective is to hide that, that flickering light in the back, which is just the good and the bad. And what if you become aware of that, all of this just suddenly becomes bullshit, and then you're just made to choose a side essentially. Am I gonna be this or am I gonna be that? You know? What if at the back of it all of this world itself is just being fucking controlled by Satan? I know this sounds stupid, but it's just him manipulating and turning all these different fucking wheels and spinning all these different distractions and narratives and feuds and fucking gay marches and everything. What if it's that? Like, and you get to realize that when you're 50. So for 50 years of your life, you just wasted for fucking, let's just assume, for Satan. And then, I wonder like what happens if that really becomes true. Like, god damn, bro, there's gonna be so many people who are gonna lose their shits, bro. Imagine we lost our shit in COVID. Imagine the people who realize if, well, for me personally, I believe that's true. It's my theory. It's very stupid. It's pretty baseless. Somewhere along the line, I feel like all these things are gonna fucking connect. And I'm sure it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy, bro. Oh, crazy freaking times. Another thing I noticed, I was listening to, there's this one-up culture. I don't know if many people know this. There's this one-up culture, especially in, I'm gonna be speaking very broadly. The business that I operate in, I've always seen this. There's this one-up culture where you wanna be one step ahead in terms of, let's call it materialistic. You gotta show off one step further. Look like you are the guy, you know? And I see that spreading into, or perhaps it has been for a long time, but I've seen that spread into podcast as well. You could see like someone brings on a cool guest, everyone's hyped up. Then you could look at another podcast and people will be commenting there, oh, you got to do better than that guy because you brought on that guy. And then that spreads over to the other podcast comments as well. And it's pretty fucking weird to see it. Why does it have to be a one-up culture? Why not ask that question? Why do you have to show up one up. Just do what you want in a way, right? Why are we competing with each other in terms of conversation? You could sit with 10 different people and have 10 fucking different perspectives. Why can't we think from that way? But instead, we have to think in this way that from those 10 people, there's gonna be two or maybe one guy who's gonna have a crazy fucking story. And that's true as well. But why are we looking for that hit? Isn't that then rooted back to that dopamine thingy where you always want that spikes and you want that excitement? And I get that. I'm there as well. But why not chase the perspective? What's this guy's life been like? What's this guy's life been like? Oh, that's why he's like this. Oh, that's why he's like this. That's why he says this way. That's why he. And you should learn to perhaps be more kind to them or be more truthful to them, honest with them. There's different ways to deal with people, and people can unfortunately take this ability and start to manipulate others, which is fucking sad. It's almost like not they are not aware that there are consequences for things that you do. That's accountability on you. And trust me, that fucking karma, that that payback for what you did, especially if it's in a bad way, it's gonna come back tenfold right up your fucking ass with an orange fucking tool. You know what I mean? And it's true. No matter what you do, it is coming back. That's it. I have a bunch of other things that I thought about and I wanted to discuss, but it's almost 7 p.m. I have to go home. I have to eat a little bit because I didn't eat much, and then I have to wait for 2-3 hours and then I'll sleep. That's one thing as well. People out there, you want to have really good sleep. It says like 3 hours before you sleep. You should not eat 3 hours before you sleep, right? I hope you get that. I hope you get that. But add one more fucking hour and walk for 20 minutes. It's gonna change how you sleep and how you recover. Really, it will change. You will start to feel different. Not like a UFO, but like you'll feel more rested and fresh and good to go the next day. Factory freaking reset, bro. Trust me. Anyway, that's it from me. This was Wajeeh, and I'll catch you maybe tomorrow because we have to do the table setup and some other things that are coming. They were coming along today, but I'll do it tomorrow because I have more time tomorrow. I had a bunch of work today, finished that up, so I feel pretty good overall. Yeah, that's it from me. See ya. Take care.